2021 official mini challenge UK eSeries. Richard John Neal here with you, and a great pleasure to welcome back Antony Williams. Antony, good morning, happy New Year. Can't hear Antony at the moment, so
hello, Richard. I couldn't hear you then for a moment, so apologies about that.
That's okay. Happy New Year to you, and welcome
technical
back to
problems.
Welcome back to Oulton Park. First time we've had around Oulton Park. I've got to say, I much prefer the sim version of Oulton Park because it's not so much a long and horrendous drive for me in the middle of the night, which is normally what we have to do when we go racing. So really good that we are here on the Island circuit. It's actually one of my favourite tracks that we race in the real world. Again, our officials this weekend, race director Rich Hayden, broadcast director Mike Yao, Clark, of course, Andy Ringland. He's been a busy boy as Andy Ringland over the first couple of rounds, even though we've got some drivers, in fact, on minus points in the points championship at the moment, with Andy having a look at what's been going on, so it's keeping him fairly busy. Oulton, of course, one of the most picturesque tracks in the calendar. Next week we're off to Snetterton, home ground for Antony. I think maybe James Gordon joining us in commentary for that one, wait and see. Then Knockhill, Silverstone, it's a national first, international second, Brands Hatch GP wrapping things up in our 8th week, the 6th of March, and hopefully Antony will be back with us for that one. I've got to say, the schedule, much tighter than we had in our first season. Qualifying 15 minutes, getting underway at 10 o'clock. Races 1 and 2, both 20 minutes. Race 2, of course, top 12 reverse grid as per the real world mini challenge. So it gives drivers a chance to build a little bit of confidence, maybe if they haven't been at the front of the grid before. Championship table, it is very tight at the top. Mike Epps and Dave Marshall separated by a solitary point. That is akin to the fastest lap or pole position. Remember last time Dave Marshall got pole and managed to equal Mike Epps' points total. Robbie Stapleford is third. Then it's Jack McIntyre and Max Edmondson. Rob Butler in 6th place for Jordan Brennan and Dan Zelos. Max Coates 9th. Top 10 rounded out by Matt Richards. Josh Hislop 11th from Isaac Smith and Ryan Elliott. Then Josh Martin. Max Bird 15th. Jack Davidson next up from Andy Dorman and Jack Noller. Luke Kidsley 19th from Liam Lambert. And Liam, top of the list there number-wise, of drivers who have yet to get on the board. Poor old Damien Hall, -1. We'll have to talk to Damien about that. He is our Bajan driver. Ethan Hampton's on -4. So Andy Ringland has been very strict. And that's a key thing, an important thing in this championship, that it is as official and as real world as you can get, even to the fact that the clerk of the course is looking at the footage over the course of the racing, Antony. That's what you guys wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. When we originally planned this series, it was very much to try and create something that was as close as possible to the real world as we could, and actually those driving standards and the addition of a real world clerk to help enforce those driving standards was really key. Clearly, in the real world, you've got the advantage, or perhaps disadvantage, depending how you look at it, of damage, which is in itself an incentive to not get into too many tangles. But clearly in sim racing world, the damage doesn't cost you quite so much.
No, maybe Andy should be dishing out fines as well.
Well, that was something we did consider at one point, is to try and create that equality. That sort of link with the real world by adding in some sort of damage penalty. But in the end, it was decided that wasn't going to be what we do.
I think it all pans out as it is extremely well, to be perfectly honest, at the moment. The one thing I didn't talk about on the points championship there was the individual classes. Of course, you've got the real world racers, headed by Mike Epps, and then the sim racers, again headed by Dave the Machine Marshall. And of course, they're racing for their respective prizes. Epps will get some pretty state-of-the-art sim rigs, and Dave Marshall was looking to add another weekend's driving in the real world Mini Cooper.
At this rate, they'll have a whole season wrapped up.
And the prize for this time, of course, he's got a toke around signed off, doesn't he, from last year, which he carried over, and it's very good of you guys to carry that over for him into this year. And it's actually going to help him if he wins this year as well. It's going to help him maybe put the budget together for for more of a campaign, hopefully, but for a complete season. And I know we're all interested to see. It's great that we're going to see him with the carryover from last year, and it's going to be fascinating to see what he can do in the real world.
No, it sure will, particularly as we are looking like an extraordinarily strong grid for the Cooper class this year. At the moment, well, with the change of calendar, we can now have 38 entrants, and we are already at 37.
Goodness me.
Yes. So can you remember last year at Thruxton? Well,
Yeah.
just add a little bit more steroid to that, and that'll be the experience that we'll have at Thruxton, I'm sure. And of course, we're going there twice.
That's fantastic. I mean, and everybody talks about the minis, and TOCA have got such a great, strong package now. And as a spectator, I was chatting to a spectator, or a virtual spectator actually, in the closing months of last year, and they were saying that watching it on TV on a Sunday afternoon, there's never a time when they can get up and take a break. And they were saying that when they get to the real track, they're going to have to time their comfort breaks extremely well because there's so much very good track action on.
Oh, that's great to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, it is good.
As you say, that's what it's all about.
So one of the drivers that was doing well in our practice session, we'll talk about practice session a little bit later on, is Jordan Brennan, front runner from last year. And Jordan has our hot lap this week for us here at Oulton Park.
Jordan Brennan, driver of the number 98 Liquid Moly Noscott vending machine. And today we're going to be doing a lap of Oulton Park Island. So first of all, start the lap, we're going to keep it nice and wide going in, cut back to the curb, and then run it out up against the exit curb. Keep it sort of centre track, up to turn 1. You want to be braking just after the Dunlop board, down to 4th. Take as much curb on the inside and exit as you can to open the corner up as much as possible. And down into Cascades, you want to be braking just before the dip, but also keeping the car nice and tight. Back once to step out on you slightly, get back on the power nice and early. And out to the right line. Coming into the hairpin, you'll be braking just at the marker board. Get it stopped, turned in, back on the power nice and early. Up over hilltop. Keep it sort of centre track. And coming down to the chicane, you're braking just at the 100 metre board and getting as close as you can to the tyre barrier on your side. You want to maximise your exit up the hill as much as possible to get you a better run into Druids. Come up as Druids, you're going to be braking as late as possible. Keeping it nice and tight, it's both our apexes. Run it out to the exit curb. Come up to the last corner, you're going to be braking just between the two marker boards on the left. Down to 3rd. Keep it nice and tight. Run it up to the curb and the exit. And come up to the line, you're going to be all the way up on the left white line. And across the line. That's a lap of Oulton Park Island. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Jordan Brennan, for that exhilarating lap around the virtual Oulton Park. And Jordan Brennan, let's have a quick look. 8th in the championship at the moment, 4th in the sim standing. So he'll be keen to try and overturn the 3-point lead that Matt Richards has. Here's your spotter's guide, which you can download, I think, from the internet if you want to get a virtual program. I know David Addison loves his programs. He's in the touring car program a little bit later on. I'm sure you'll be staying tuned for that. A lot of very, very bright liveries that we've got this year. One of the things I must mention, part of the TOCA family, a shout out for Joel Pearson, who raced in Ginetta Junior last year, was due to race F4 this year, has been diagnosed with bone cancer. He's having to take out some time to fight that and try and recover from that. We wish Joel all the very best, because he's one big TOCA family. So Joel Pearson, if you're not watching, and I understand why you might not be, but hopefully the message gets to you. Get well soon, mate, and all our thoughts and positive vibes with you and your family and friends at this time. So Joel Pearson, get well soon. We've got, wow, look at that. We've got a hashtag up there as well from Mike. Talking of hashtags, of course, we are engaged very much in social media. Anthony, I think you're going to be keeping an eye on that. We've already had some old friends posting, I think, this morning.
Yes, indeed. I remember from our summer series, first season, the Newsham Nutters are live and kicking with their social media comments, and of course, I'm sure with regard to their support for their family members as well. So no, it's good to see them there. And of course, there's a few other comments as well from various other people watching on our live stream.
That's good, and it's a great way of getting involved. Hashtag Mini Challenge eSeries is the thing to do. So let us know who you think is going to win this weekend, or who's going to do well, who's going to maybe make a leap up in the positions, because it's not just about the front drivers, it's about those that might be trying to get into the points for the first time. And we've got 10 drivers looking to try and get into the top 15 of the races so far. We have had 4 races so far this year already, 2 and still in Donington. And the likes of Liam Lambert, who's just been outside the points thus far. Craig Timmins, Luke Kidsley looking to get on the board as well. Qualifying is getting underway. As ever, these people spend an inordinate amount of time on their sims in the week, and they are practicing right the way up to the start of this official qualifying. And when I logged on around about 45 minutes ago, I thought I hadn't refreshed my timing screen from last week because Dave Marshall was at the top from Mike Epps. I thought, okay, let's refresh, and well, it wasn't the fact that I needed to refresh, it was that those 2 guys were at the top. Mike Epps started to put Dave Marshall under a bit of pressure, and then of course Dave Marshall decided that was time to bang in a quicker time, which he did. We also, in the latter stage of the session, saw Max Edmondson, who is 5th in the overall championship, bang in a very quick time as well. Times we need to look at: 1 minute 30.3 Max Edmondson, that was his quickest time. And then last knockings in the practice session, again seeing that one of his rivals had done a really good time, Dave Marshall banged in a 1:30.186, and the machine just seems to respond every single time someone bangs in a quick lap. So that gives you a little flavour of who we're looking at. In practice, Dave Marshall, Mike Epps, Max Edmondson, Dan Zelos was up there as well. Dan Zelos, of course, a very well-known real-world mini driver and new to sim racing, and bedded himself in very, very quickly right at the sharp end. Robbie Stapleford, Jordan Brennan, who gave us our hot lap, was 5th quickest last time I checked in, and Jack McIntyre, the assassin, in 6th place. And as ever, you can see something we had for the first time last week, which is the incense of having a look in car, as it were, at the drivers. There is our Bayesian police officer, Damien Hall, Death in Paradise, looking to get some points on the board for the first time. Had a pretty positive set of results last time out, and great to see him here. He's got such a massive following as Damien, and a great character. It was really good to chat with him last year. And this is the great thing about eSeries racing, is it brings together people from all over the world. You know, we would love to see Damien for real at a race meeting, but this way you can actually get to compete with everybody, which is superb to see. Waiting for the first banker laps to come in, and as I say, championship wise, very, very tight indeed. Epps on 66, Marshall 65, Robbie Stapleford 3rd overall, 2nd in the real world racing category, 46 points. So little way down, 20 points down. That's one race already behind the likes of Mike Epps. Dave Marshall, of course, running a different livery this year, the 10 tenths livery, black and red, and with Mike Epps, his teammate. Both of them are professional coaches. Dave will do your sim coaching for you, and Mike Epps can coach on the sim or indeed real world. And it was nice to see in the week that people are starting to get back out into testing, and we're seeing a little bit. I think people were anyway, but it was nice to see some stuff on social media of people out and about at tracks in the week. So good to, although we're not actually relaxing anything yet, and testing is allowed because this is part of an elite sport, it's just encouraging. It gives you that little tantalising glimpse of what we're going to experience from May, which seems like an awful long way away. Wasn't it 100 days or something, Anthony? I think people posting on social media the week, 100 days away now.
It was a sort of Groundhog Day, actually, because there was obviously a previous post for 100 days about a month earlier. But yes, absolutely right. I think it was 100 days on Thursday, something along those lines anyway. But you're right, it does feel like it's still a long way away. But of course, the benefit of our slightly delayed season is that we, fingers crossed, we should be starting in the warmth of late spring rather than the cool and perhaps probably more likely raining early spring.
Yeah, as soon as you say Easter and bank holiday, the
Exactly.
rain and snow and goodness only knows what else gets thrown. So yeah, hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer. That'll be good to see.
So it's interesting. I noticed just then there was a bit of contact a few minutes ago, even in qualifying, which doesn't happen too often in the real world, but it does. And I'm not sure. I can't remember who was involved, but interesting to see that people are getting it together even in qualifying.
Yeah, so Andy Ringland has now got to watch all the qualifying footage as well this week. Mike Epps setting the benchmark at the moment, a 1 minute 30.369. It was a 1 minute 30.1 by Dave Marshall at the end of the practice session. It's Epps and Marshall with Edmondson third. That could be a solicitor's firm, couldn't it? Epps, Marshall and Edmondson.
It could quite easily, couldn't it? Although I think they might need their solicitors because, again, if this was the real world, I suspect that all the other teams and drivers would be marching their way into the technical office, demanding that the 10/10 cars were stripped to literally the nut and bolt in order to work out why they're so fast.
That's a key thing, isn't it, in championships? You know, over the years, seeing drivers rising up through the ranks, you know, getting higher and higher in the standings, and you know, ultimately coming through to win. And when you get that first complaint for them, I think I'm cheating. I said, well, that means you're doing well, doesn't it?
Exactly. Exactly.
Robbie Stapleford away down the order at the moment in 27th place, so might be worth having a look at Robbie. Alfie Glennie, we would look to. Oh, look at that, he improves just as we say that. Right on the queue, up into 7th place. Robbie Stapleford ahead of Luke Kittley. Nice to see Luke in the top 10. Luke in 8th at the moment from Isaac Smith. Max Coates, who was trying to get shot of me, talking to me earlier on, trying to get shot of me so I can get on the sim and get some laps in. And he's in the top 10, but it's Epps and Marshall. Let's watch. Do you remember last year, Anthony? Dave Marshall was very much get out there, bang, pole position, see what the others can do. Seemingly a lot closer this year and he's having to work a lot harder.
Yes, it does seem like that way. And, you know, it's good to see a mixture of sim racers and real world. I think when we started this, we were a bit concerned that, you know, basically the sim racers would walk away with it and make the real world drivers look a bit second hand. But that's not been the case, and yeah, it's really good to see a bit of a mixture. Particularly Dan Zelos, obviously he was a runner-up in the real world championship last year. Back again in 2021, and really hoping to put a championship title onto his CV.
Dan's really impressed me in this. You know, he is a newcomer to Sims, and there is an art to getting it set up and getting used to it, and he's just gone. And when I looked at his CV, we did an interview with him last week, and when you look at the CV that Dan Zelos got, whatever he's done, he's always been extremely quick, right from the word go, whatever you put him in.
He had a lot of coaching from Epps.
And he has. Oh, just had Mike telling me he's had some coaching from Mike Epps and Dave Marshall. But even so, even in the real world, whatever he goes into, bang, straight away. You know, juniors into Netters, he was up there on the podium, placed straight away. Did Clio's for a little bit, and then he had I think he had a guest out. He came in towards the end of the year, a couple of years back in Minis, and he was on podium placed straight away, wasn't he?
No, absolutely, yeah, and you're right. He seems to be able to really turn his hand pretty quickly to anything that he does. So it's certainly good to see that. But it's also, of course, good to see some of the sim racing drivers still, well, not necessarily dominating, but you know, right up there towards the top of the standings, challenging for the wins and challenging Dave Marshall for that top spot.
He's good to see. And Damien Hall having a good run at the moment in 21st. And that will be his best. If he keeps that, qualifying at Brands was 23rd, last week 22nd, so he's doing sort of one place a weekend at the moment, Damien Hall, running well, dicing with Andy Dornan, Tom O'Farrell ahead of him in 19th place. Again, that would be a best qualifying of this season for Tom, if he can do that. Currently running 21st in the championship as well. But Epps and Marshall still there, Zelos third, Max Evanson fourth from Jordan Brennan, Jack Mack is in 6th position, and those of you who watch the real world mini coverage will know that I called James McIntyre Jack a few times on ITV as well.
Indeed. Looks like the social media comments are coming in thick and fast, so keep them coming, please. It's good to see you all there enjoying our sim racing for our winter season.
Yeah, very well welcome to everybody who's tuned in for our third weekend of the season. We're having a quick look at Josh Stanton in the 99 car. A driver looking to try and get on the points, into points for the first time this year. Best result 22nd so far. Race 2 at Brands Hatch, 25th in the championship. Qualified in the top 20 at Donington Park. So sort of maintaining that form. And wherever you look now, it's a really strong, a little bit of a bosh onto the wall there for Josh. And wherever you look, I was saying that really some extremely competitive drivers. It's such a strong field, and if you look at the likes of the drivers, you know, in the lower 20s at the moment on the timing screen, the likes of Alfie Glennie, who is an incredibly quick driver in the real world, and you know, even to Ethan Hamilton, who graces the British Touring Car Championship 19th. I mean, there's just nowhere to hide in this as well. So competitive.
No, it's definitely good to see. Certainly makes it exciting. I'm really looking forward to commenting on the race shortly and seeing the action as it unfolds. Just thinking, we were talking earlier on before we went on air about the fact that I have a bit of a penchant for nicknames, and mentioned that my brain might not necessarily be quite as fresh this morning. We're going to come up with some new ones. So what we could do, of course, is those guys that are watching us on social media, if you'd like to come up with some tasteful nicknames, we can perhaps see if those ones will stick whilst we're when we're doing the commentary.
Love the sneaky tasteful popped in there as well.
Indeed.
Good to see Liam Lambert here. Liam, I didn't realise when he joined us, I can't remember what round it was now, last year's a little bit of a blur, but it was great to see him up in the shaft end towards the end of last year. And I was talking about his, I used to watch his dad racing Superstocks and stock cars over the years. Liam himself has done a little bit of Superstock racing. I probably didn't clarify what Superstocks were. A lot of people think that they are the Superstock Bike Championship, but Superstocks are the short over quarter mile stock cars, purpose-built single-seaters with bumpers all the way around, and you can sort of nudge your way to the front in that type of racing. And they differ from the formula that Lee Pearce raced in. He races in stock cars as well. Lee racing in the 1300cc stock cars, which are small saloon cars fully ironed up, rather than specials that are built up. Liam raced in and his dad raced in the Supers, which are, I don't know if they were 2 litres back in the day, probably 2 litre Pintos back in the day when Liam's dad raced in them. But had an exchange on social media with Liam Lambert, and he said it's 25 years since his dad raced, which is a long time ago, as Craig Timmins has a little off in the Mad for Mini Motorsport car. 26 in the championship, 26 on the grid at the moment is Craig, and showing with a red blob against his number as he was off the track. And a big moment there for Isaac Smith, goes through the gravel, keeps it going. Not going to be a quick lap for the number 123 Riggs Esports Racing Team, 12th in the championship at the minute. Best result 7th place at Brands Hatch. We can expect to see him fighting for podia as we go on. Quick look at Jack Noller there in the 36, 18th in the championship, has 1 point scoring result to his name thus far, which was race 1 at Donington Park. I do need to catch up on interview with some of these drivers actually over the next couple of weeks. I wasn't able to process one in the week, but hopefully for next week's round we'll get the chance to do that. Great shot there of Jack working hard at the controls of the Cooler Master 36 machine and heading up towards Old Hall under the Paul Warwick Bridge. Amazing how many memories Paul Warwick evokes. There was somebody posted on social media in the week an oil painted portrait of Paul Warwick, and people still fondly remember Paul, which is a very nice thing. And we think of him every time we come to Oulton Park. Mike Epps still, though, on provisional pole. Dave Marshall, is he waiting? He's waiting a little bit late, Anthony, because there's less than a minute on the clock now. Yes,
he certainly is. He's cutting it fine, isn't he, to get himself on the top spot. I was, from previously, expecting him just to be there, and you know, as you said earlier on, that's it. It's just done. But perhaps his sharing of some of his knowledge to some of the other drivers, which we've heard he's been doing, is hurting him in terms of his results.
Max Coates running well, 5th position.
So we've got some responses on the nicknames.
Oh right.
And so we've got Jordan Brennan, Juggernaut. At least I think it's supposed to be a nickname from Kay Barker, rather than just a typo. And then, of course, we Silent Assassin. Now, remind me, who did we... Was that Ryan Elliott that we gave the Silent Assassin?
Jack McIntyre.
Was it Jack McIntyre? Well, there we go. So, yes, that's good. Thank you for the reminder there. And then we've got nickname for Ryan Elliott. I don't know if there's a nickname or just somebody taking the mickey, but Billy, as in Billy Elliott. Anyway, so yeah, keep them coming, and as they come in, I'll choose some to share.
I was trying to find out where the term Billy, you know, for like track day Billies that the real world drivers talk about. I'm trying to find out where that came from, and nobody seems to know. It can't be that recent. I'm sure somebody must have coined it and remember coining it for the first time. But
that could be interesting, couldn't it? Yes, the story of how the term came about.
But don't worry, Ryan, we're not going to call you Billy. I think that would be a bit unfair. He's a good lad, he's Ryan Elliott. So, qualifying checkered flag is out. We will talk to the pole position, but I need to jot down our top 10 just to see if anybody is going to change around. So it's Epps, Marshall, Dan Zelos 3rd, Max Evanson 4th, Max Coates 5th, Jack McIntyre, Jordan Juggernaut Brennan, love that one. Rob Butler is next up. He's sneaking up there, isn't he, into the top 10. 9th is Isaac Smith. And 10th, a little way down, Robbie Stapleford. He's got some work to do. As Robbie, 11th was Matt Richards from Luke Kidsley, Ryan Elliott, Damien Hall, 14th. Great job from Damien Hall. Moved up, 22nd was his previous best qualifying. So Damien Hall getting himself into the points potentially here with 14th place. And 15th, Andy Dorman. It's only 1 point for pole position. Mike Epps extends the championship lead to 2 points over Dave Marshall. And I think we should be able to have a word with our pole position man, Mike Epps. Mike, congratulations on pole position. 2 point championship lead now.
Yeah, hello mate. Yeah, handy to stretch out another point for pole, so it's pretty good. But yeah, that was hard. That was really hard. My I don't know if it's Oulton Park on this game, but it's causing a little bit of stuttering and stuff on my screen, so it's been a little bit jumpy trying to get a lap in this morning.
I think Oulton Park was the last time I spoke to you after a race in the real world. You were out in the Super Cup car for Ginetta, and you picked up a bit of damage. But so it must be nice to come back even virtually and grab a toll.
Yeah, definitely. I really don't want to be repeating that sort of damage. I could tell, you know, some of the boys obviously on here fully know, but for those that don't in the sim world, when you have a crash in real life, oh my god, it's not just the pain that could potentially be caused to your body, but it's the financial pain for the months and possibly even years after, depending on the size of the whack. So yeah, not one to remember, but good to rekindle my love with Oulton by getting a pole today.
Excellent, well done. How's your week been?
Good, but obviously there's been testing for both Mini and Touring Car now, as the Touring Car eSeries is after this afternoon. So I'm a little bit tired of staring at screens, but at the same time it's been quite positive. I've been, I think, quickest in both test servers, so aiming to go full steam ahead for both of them at the moment.
And are you doing any real world testing at the moment?
Not at the moment, but I've got quite a bit of coaching.
Coaching, yeah.
And a couple of small things you never know that might happen in terms of real racing perspective for me, so we'll see.
Okay, mate. Well done on pole position, and good luck for the race, and hopefully we'll have a chat with you on the podium. Mike Epps, our pole position man today.
Perfect. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Antony, great job by Mike.
Very much so. Yeah, it's so clearly not a dominant performance, but good to see him up there, nicking that top spot from Dave.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close indeed, isn't it? So Epps and Marshall, the front row, those two are going to battle. Because they're teammates, I guess that, well, Dave Marshall's not going to do anything silly, and neither is Mike, but there is that added thing in your head, isn't it? Psychology that your teammate is there. They're going to want to try and get away. But we've got a great performance by Dan Zelos. Now, Dan's best qualifying before today was 7th at Donington Park. So really moving up quickly. And are we going to see a podium in only his 3rd meeting here? Potentially has the ability to do that. Max Evanson, who was our reverse grid pole starter at Brands Hatch and grabbed the podium out of that, he's next up on the outside of row 2. row 3. Max Coates, great qualifying from Max, despite me putting him off with the chat beforehand. And then Jack McIntyre, the silent assassin, 6th. Jack, a little bit frustrated, Jack, I think, with his form so far this year, but did grab the reverse grid win last weekend at Donington Park. So keen to try and build on that as we get ready for our first race of 2. So the around about a minute and a half, we're hearing from race control at the moment as we look down the grid. Jordan Brennan running on the 4th row of the grid with Rob Butler. Again, 2 drivers that are well capable of being up on podium pace. And in the top 10, as we saw in qualifying completed by Isaac Smith and Robbie Stapleford. So really anyone out of the top 10, very much capable, in fact probably further down the order as well, very much capable of taking a podium, if not a race win here. Who's your money on though, Antony?
Whoa, well, I mean, yeah, before it was a fairly safe bet, wasn't it? You just go straight for the machine, and pretty much that was it. You're guaranteed a win. No, I think. Well, I'd like to say Dan, really, because Dan's certainly somebody who's been a big supporter of the championship, and it would be great to see him up there. But yeah, I think probably Dave's going to come. Cream rising to the top, I guess. That'd be my money putting on Dave, I think. Just going back to the nicknames, I've just seen on our social media feeds that the Billy name for Ryan is his real world nickname, I believe, from his family and friends, according to Rebecca Dawson. Anyway, we'll have to check that, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely.
just to check that it's not someone taking the mickey. So Juggernaut seems to have stuck for Jordan as well. That's getting repeated out there by Kay, so yeah, that sounds good. I'm not sure whether Kay is clearly a prolific commentator.
Indeed, that's really good to hear. Lights are on, 5 on. Longish wait once again. Here we go. We are racing at Oulton Park, and in black and blue. Mike Epps gets away well. Dave Marshall second. Dan Sealos is going to send it to 3rd place as they go through Old Hall. It's Max Edmondson in 4th position. This is always a little bit of a worrying moment, particularly when you've got a big field as they head down into Cascades for the first time. Edmondson putting a bit of pressure under on Dan Sealos, and now they come through Lakeside for the first time. Nice to see there's not a great big block barrier there, which we had at Oulton Park for real, I think, last year, which was a little bit worrying for some of the formulas. Here we come then into the island hairpin. Goes shot, and Dan Sealos gets tagged by Max Edmondson. Sealos dropping back down the order. That was hard luck for him. Max Edmondson dropping back as well.
Yeah, all the action there on the start of the first lap. Unfortunate one for Dan, but he seems to be have recovered reasonably well there.
Yeah, Dan in 4th place. Juggernaut Jordan Brennan 5th from Max Coates. Jack McIntyre 7th. Matt Richards next. Robbie Stapleford makes progress in 9th. Isaac Smith is in 10th place. Keeping an eye on Damien Hall as well, looking to notch up his first points of the year, currently running in 13th place.
Solid start for him. That's really good. Really
yeah,
good
great to see. And again, it just shows how competitive it is that you can get up into the, further up the ladder. And it's just hard work all the time, relentless hard work. And that's what Epps is doing at the moment. Safety car deployed. You can see the cars going from side to side and repeating what we had at Donington Park. So things are going to calm down. Epps, we know, will be very much switched on to what to do on the safety car restart. The one we had at Donington Park was exemplary. I don't think anybody gained any advantage out of it at all, which was quite unusual to see, but just goes to show how very well briefed the drivers are. So safety car is virtual safety car deployed. Mike Epps leading from Dave Marshall. Points from 1st to 2nd place will go 20 to 17, so it's 3 points advantage by taking the race win over P2, which is going to be absolutely key for the drivers. So with a 2-point lead at the moment, that could extend things to 5 for Mike Epps. Realistically, Dave Marshall is going to be looking at the other sim category drivers. Second in the sim category at the moment is Jack McIntyre, and Matt Richards is 3rd. The gap between McIntyre and Richards 45 to 39. And of course, it's important to get in the top 3 because those guys get a test. 2nd position is a test, isn't it, in Mini Coopers, which is a great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had a problem last year, obviously, with the so again, those have been carried over for the previous runners-up from last year. So it'd be good to see that happening this year.
The other thing I was
well.
going to throw in, if it is of any value, I don't know if it is, but I was going to say if any of the winners from the Sim Championship, if you've got people along, I'm happy to do a meet and greet with them just to say hello if they've got any guests coming along. And so if that adds value, that could be part of the prize as well. But I'm happy to do that and explain what we do over a racing weekend.
Oh, that'd be great, Richard. I'm sure that people to be delighted to have that. And, fingers crossed we do get back to having spectators at the events this year fairly early on, obviously with the delayed season, really primarily to try and encourage that possibility. I think the likelihood is that we might be waiting until the summer months before we see spectators at events, but of course we'll have to just wait and see. Anyway, back to racing.
Yeah, I think spot on there, Anthony. Here we go, racing again. Mike Epps makes a decent one. Dave Marshall will chase him down into Old Hall Corner, lights the green, and we're back racing here at Oulton Park. And it's Epps looking to try and grab only a second win. We've had 4 races so far, of course, this year. The only double winner, Dave Marshall, who's running in D2 at the moment, so we'll see whether Dave can start to put the pressure on. Rob Butler, what a first lap he had, up into 3rd place, Rob Butler. He was back on row 4, so up on podium. Dan Zelos is in 4th, then Jordan Brennan, Jack McIntyre 6th position, back to coach 7th, Matt Richards and Isaac Smith next up from Luke Kidsley. Ryan Elliott is in 11th. Damien Hall now up into 12th place. So Damien very well suited to Oulton Park. And, for safety car coming out again, the one thing you say about Damien Hall is that the Bajan driver will never have even seen Oulton Park. He'll have only done it on the sim.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I say, really good to see him moving up the field. I remember from the first season, clearly still a great driver, but towards the sort of bottom end of the standings, and to make it way up there into the mid pack and making progress now. That's really good to see that he's made that improvement. Also, Josh Martin, he was a real world racer from a couple of seasons back, hoping to see him out again this year. Not sure whether that's going to be possible, but he's a lovely lad, so it'd be nice to see him out if we can.
Max having a bit of a dice there and getting ready to go once again. Side by side, it's supposed to be single file at the end of the safety car period. Oh, I thought... Okay, incorrect safety car graphic, so it's Epps still leading from Marshall. Rob Butler next up. We'll try and get a handle on fastest laps at the moment. Fastest lap is with Dave Marshall. So Marshall clawing a point back. So important we could. The overall championship could well come down to the likes of a single point. Running a little bit wide there was Matt Richards in the 44. So Epps and Marshall very close. Good scrap on for 3rd. 3-way battle at the moment going on for 3rd place. And diving up the inside line and getting tagged there was Isaac Smith. I can't quite see who was it. Josh Hislop looking up the inside line, but contact between the two, and Isaac Smith out of the top 10. Shame for him. Another driver we would expect to see up at the sharp end of things as they come down into Knickerbrook once again. So Epps still there, Marshall P2, Rob Butler trying to close in as well.
I think also Luke Kidsley must have been involved in that somehow. He's absolutely tumbled down the timing sheets right to the bottom of the pack.
Yeah, it's a shame for Luke, isn't it? He was one of the drivers from our previous season who made the most of the reverse grids and grabbed a couple of good results in the latter stages of that. And he's going to have to work hard to get up into the top 15. There is Dan Zelos, 4th place now, about to try and have a nibble away at a podium, chasing Rob Butler. Those two dropping away a little bit as they battle from the lead pair. Here we come into Old Hall Corner, and Zelos has a look, finds the inside line as he go into Old Hall, side by side. Butler gets a little bit of a run wide. Jordan Brennan sniffing now around for 4th position as well. So this 3-way scrap, Butler's coming back on the inside line. I think Butler read that very well indeed to grab back 3rd position now as off onto the grass goes Dan Zelos. He'll rejoin in 5th position just ahead of Jack McIntyre.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting, although I suspect that we'll be getting a bill from Jonathan Palmer for some extra grass seed.
Yeah, Jonathan, we like to poke fun at him every now and again, but what superb
job with his
in the real way. Yeah, absolutely immaculate track. Great staff as well. I mean, the staff look after you when you're there too, which is absolutely fantastic. So the Davanti car has got some work to do now to try and get in front again of Jordan Brennan, to get him back where he was, battling away with Rob Butler. Those in front to start with. Epps goes across the line again, still in the lead. Let's have a look at the lap times again. 1 minute 30, 6:12 for Epps, a 1 minute 36.72 So Epps is now the faster of those two. I'm going to have difficulty scrolling down the whole list to see if anyone else has gone faster. If they have, my apologies, but I think Epps with the fastest lap and leading Dave Marshall at the moment. Rob Butler having to defend, Jordan Brennan defending as well from the Devante Tyres car. Then we've got Jack McIntyre coming up into it, silent assassin. Max Coates having a strong run in 7th from Matt Richards. Ryan Elliott is in 9th place. This could be Ryan's best finish, first top 10 of the season for Ryan Elliott. He can stay where he is. And Damien Hall up into the top 10. Super stuff from Damien. Sorry to bang on about it, but it's a mighty impressive drive from Damien Hall ahead of Jack Noller in 11th. Max Evans in 12th from Josh Martin. Liam Lambert's in the points. He's in 14th place from Andy Dorman. So we've got a couple of drivers here in with a shout of getting their first points on the door for this season.
Yeah, they're doing a good job there, and just going back to social media, we've got some, well, I think it's another nickname, although I'm not sure who it's for. So we've got Come On Bear. Who do you think Bear is?
That's
the
Jordan
Bear
Brennan.
emoji.
That's Jordan Brennan, isn't it? I think the Bear.
Ah, could be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen him referred to as Bear. So Bear or Juggernaut, either of the two. He's got the luxury of having two nicknames.
We've got a competition for the most prolific social media commentator between Adrian King and Laura Lynn Blenman-Ali, I think. That's a long name. There must be two people on sharing a social media account, I guess. But anyway, so yes, they seem to be competing for the most prolific social media commentator.
Max Coates was talking to me about, and unfortunately I can't broadcast what Max Coates was saying. Paul O'Neill probably would say it and get a slap wrist and get away with it. I would probably be sacked if I said what Max Coates said to me at the start, but we'll do that one off air. Maybe he'll get to what Max Coates said he is perhaps going to get known as. We were talking about the number of championships that he competes in. Jordan Brennan then goes up to 3rd, so great move by Juggernaut Brennan going up. Now we've got Dan Seelos again having a look at Rob Butler. Butler being forced wide there. Jack McIntyre trying to come through as well. So Butler gets his moment on the grass. Big sort out here. Brennan up to 3rd. So here comes the 37 car now around the outside of Dan Seelos. Jack McIntyre having a look, and he's teeing him up. Gives a little side swipe there. That might be looked at by Andy Ringland. Jordan Brennan clear in 3rd. So this is the battle for 4th place. Zelos on the outside line. Rob Butler's going to have a look as well. And Dan here, if he can hold on, will need to get across as they come over Hilltop, down the hill in towards Knickerbrook. He's got it. So up into 4th place again goes Dan Zelos. Jack McIntyre just backing out a little bit. Rob Butler still 6th. Max Coates in 7th closing in. And then Matt Richards in 8th place. Ryan Elliott a little way behind that group, so working hard to try and reel them in at the moment. Just into the second half of this race, as we watch the lead pair on the inset. Dave Marshall getting closer and closer to Mike Epps out front. Marshall's last lap 1 minute 30.329, so they're trading fastest laps here, and Marshall has got momentum. Machine Marshall has momentum. We won't do any more alliteration because that can get a little bit disjointed. 37 Jack McIntyre still chasing that 4th place car of Dan Zelos. Jordan Brennan is away and clear at the moment. Has had a brace of 4th positions last weekend at Donington Park. He was my driver of the day last weekend. He's going to go one better here and stay in 3rd place. First podium of the year in the offing for the Liquimoli car, just going out of shot. Good battle for 4th though, Antony.
Yeah, that was very exciting, wasn't it? There's certainly a lot going on there. Obviously, still allowing the leaders just to get away and extend their lead further. But no, great racing, definitely.
Side by side for lead position and going through. Dave Marshall's got his nose in front now in the 66. Mike Epps has got to try and fight back. The two teammates here are side by side. They were side by side. It's Dave Marshall that takes the lead. He's very good under pressure, but a great chaser is Dave Marshall. Picked his moment well. We're well into the second half of the race, and Epps will want to fight back here. Look at the gap they've got over Jordan Brennan in 3rd place. So the 2 class championship and overall championship leaders are away. Epps is the chaser now in blue, and it's Dave Marshall with a very, very neat move there going through. If we see him replicate that in the real world, I'll tell you what, we're in for a treat when he hits the track for real.
Oh, beautiful bit of driving. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing him as one of the gaggle of Coopers blasting around Thruxton, 5 abreast as it was this year, and I'm sure his racing skills will come for.
I absolutely agree with that. He's under some mighty pressure at the moment. So too is Dan Zelos, the main shot. So Zelos coming under pressure from Jack McIntyre. Jack doesn't want any more points to slip away. McIntyre on the inside line as the Devanti car runs a little bit wide. So he's made the most of that. Now we've got Rob Butler coming up ready to have a go. Look at the inset. Look at Jack McIntyre, cool, calm and collected, enjoying his race here. Just has a little bit of a shuffle in his seat. He's not strapped in hard enough here, is he, in the seat, as he moves around. That's one of the differences, of course, between real world and sim racing. And Rob Butler exploring the outside line. Max Coates knows that he might be able to pop the 71 machine up the inside line. Coates followed by Matt Richards. Ryan Elliott trying to reel them in as well in 9th. Damien Hall still in 10th. Great stuff from the Bajan driver, Damien Hall. Haven't seen too much of Damien on screen because there's been a heck of a lot happening elsewhere. Top 50 at the moment. Andy Dorman, the last driver in the points. Ethan Hamilton looks like he's going to get his name on the board for points as well for the first time. He's 40. Provisional pole for race 2, Josh Martin and Max Edmondson. So Max Edmondson, who was up on front row pace at Donington Park outright, looks like he could have a reverse grid front row start for race 2. We've got 5 minutes to go still. We're looking at Max Coates in the inset, working hard. Could do with a little bit more lighting, Max, if you're going to be listening to us for race 2. I'm sure he's got other things to worry about. But there's Max Edmondson.
He's so far north, it's probably still night time there.
That's that's very true. So, having a look now, Max Edmondson looking on the inside line of Damien Hall. So Edmondson up into 10th, runs a little bit wide. Damien Hall's going to try and return the favour, can't quite do it with enough momentum. So Damien in 11th, still in the points, and Edmondson actually relegates himself off the front row with that move. So he goes on to row 2 potentially for the reverse grid race 2. There in the inset is Damien Hall.
Talking of night time, what time is it in Barbados?
Do you know, I've no idea. I'd need to check that out. I would imagine that Damien's got a few followers who may well be online. So if you are one of Damien's followers watching this live, please ping us and let us know. It's got to be 4 or 5 hours
behind, isn't it?
Yeah,
so yeah, it's going to be
yeah,
pretty early in the morning is the answer, I think.
Bit of contact happening again there. So Dave Marshall, best lap at the moment, 1 minute 30.329, and he's got that extra point provisionally over Mike Epps at the minute. So Epps with a 2-point championship coming into the race could find himself with a 2-point deficit if things stay the way they stand with 4 minutes on the clock. Fascinating outright championship scenario once again. Marshall, Epps, Brennan 3rd, McIntyre 4th, Dan Zelos is next up from Matt Richards, who we're looking at the moment. Again, Matt, a very cool customer there, just looking to try and catch up with Max Coates in 6th position. A bit of a gap between the two at the moment. Rob Butler, who was up on podium pace earlier on, busy chasing him in 8th place. Ryan Elliott goes through in white, and Max Edmondson in white as well in 10th place. Damien Hall is there in 11th, and Marshall not being left, not leaving Mike Epps at the moment, but going to be interesting to see again on the reverse grid race how much pressure they can take as Rob Butler dives down the inside, a bit of contact on the 44 car of Matt Richards. They both managed to escape that. There was just a little dive down the inside, a wee bit of contact, but nothing changes as a result of that, which is key.
So we've got a bit of intel from our followers on social media. So I've been confirmed by a number of people that it's 6:38 or maybe 9 now in Barbados in the morning. So yes, early start for Damien. And we've got another comment here as well from the Martin team. Josh Martin's team's struggling with some technical issues today. So perhaps that explains a little bit about where he's currently sitting in the standings.
Yeah, we'd normally expect Josh to be a little bit further up, but he's on for provisional pole, isn't he? So could well be on pole position for race 2 if they get things sorted out. So we look at Ryan Elliott.
Maybe it's a ploy.
Get a pole. It could be. Sometimes that can work, but I'm sure he'd want the outright points for sure.
Absolutely.
So, again, a challenge on here as Rob Butler has a look down the inside line, working really hard here and chasing Ryan Elliott. This is for 8th place. Matt Richards up ahead of them. Coming down through Cascades, and a bit of a wide run down through there. Last point at the moment still with Andy Dorman. Ethan Hamilton 14th. Jack Noller is in 13th place, looking for his second point score of the year. Rob Butler is dogged driving from Butler, still chasing Ryan Elliott, working hard. Ryan Elliott under massive pressure. He was the driver you might remember last year, Anthony. We really marked out as being a super defender. Probably gets fed up with me saying that. He's much rather known as an attacking driver, which he can do, but we have seen him do some great defensive driving over the course of the 1.5 seasons we've had thus far.
No, I mean, great defensive driving can help to create some pretty exciting viewing as well, can't it? With everybody else queuing up behind and trying to make their move. Looks like the machine has consolidated his lead there, so I think my original prediction looks like it's going to come true.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on there. Good call. Dave Marshall from P2 on the grid.
It's not a difficult one, really, is it, though, Richard?
No, I'm guessing not.
No, it's but it's good to see other people. I think a bit closer than perhaps they were last time, particularly obviously Mike. So yeah, it's really good to see. Good to see Jack Davidson out there as well with his very bright pink and black livery.
Yeah, he's running in 18th place. Luke Kitsley's ahead of him. Luke's done well to recover from his moment earlier on. Liam Lambert still knocking on the door of a first point, 16th position. Andy Dorman is ahead of him in the last point scoring position at the moment in 15th. So Kitsley, Lambert and Dorman all looking to score that final valuable point. Robbie Stapleton is 20th. Tomo Farrell, I think, makes up the place. Liam Lambert's dropping back a little bit now, so Lambert's had a problem.
I think he had a big off.
Yeah. Sad to see from...
that would have got Chloe in the parts truck excited.
No, 23, Josh Hislop there. Josh was on the podium, broke a run of lowly results, really, with a podium at Donington Race 2. It's great to see the Kinetic Motorsport car up there, that nice lime green livery. He had 16th, 15th and 12th in the first 3 races of the year, and then banged in that really impressive podium in Race 2 at Donington Park. Back Mr. Butler, who's been very entertaining. Don't forget, out there in social media land, the clock is down, so we've got another lap to go to message us with who you think your driver of the race is. It doesn't necessarily have to be Dave Marshall or Whitecaps up front, so let us have your thoughts on that. So on to the last lap, and Ryan Elliott still being chased. Max Edmondson still having a good look. He's going to have a wide run here. Got a contact, I think, as they went through Old Hall. It's a tight track, isn't it? The one thing we really picked up in qualifying and Jordan's hot lap is a very difficult track to overtake on, as the inset shows Dave Marshall clear now. Marshall the leader, excellent second place. Jordan Brennan in P3. The final lap of this race. Contact again, and Rob Butler is pushed off track. He's going to drop outside. Is he of the top 10? He goes down to 11th place. Damien Hall back into that 10th position, but it's Dave Marshall on the last half lap here at Oulton Park, who's going to start in P12 again for race 2. Mike Epps will line up alongside him on the 6th row of the grid, and this is going to be a 3rd win of the year. We said it was going to be more competitive this year. It is, but the only driver to have notched up more than 1 win so far is this man, Dave Marshall. It looks like he's going to rack up a hat-trick of wins here. So a 2nd win of the season comes through dearly for the last time. Our virtual checker flag being readied, and he crosses the line to take the win. 3 wins for Dave Marshall, goes back into the championship lead. Mike Epps is in 2nd position. Jordan Brennan will complete our virtual podium. Jack McIntyre, good 4th position for Jack McIntyre there. Dan Zelos is in 5th place from Max Coates. Then it was Matt Richards taking 7th place, Ryan Elliott in 8th place, Max Edmondson down in 9th position. 10th goes to Damien Hall, so Damien's going to be up at the sharp end in the reverse grid race. I think we saw him do that a couple of times last year. He completes the top 10. Rob Butler is going to be up at the front of race 2 as well. He took 11th place, and Josh Martin will be our provisional pole sitter for the 2nd race of the day. Here's confirmation of the result. Dave Marshall think held on to fastest lap as well by the look of it. Mike Epps second, Brennan third, McIntyre fourth, Zelos, Coates, Richards, Elliott, Edmondson and Hall completing the top 10, Josh Martin 11th. The point scorers completed by Rob Butler, Jack Noller, Ethan Hamilton and Andy Dorman. Good recovery from Luke Kidsley into 16th from Jack Davidson and Tom O'Farrell. Robbie Stapleford 19th from Josh Hislop. Then it was Kenny Press, Liam Lambert in 22nd place. 23rd goes to Simon Reed from Alfie Glennie. Craig Timmins 25th. Isaac Smith and Josh Stanton were next up. Time to go on to our virtual podium. We do these 3, 2, 1. So going on to the third step of our virtual podium and the first podium of our new season. Very well done to Jordan Brennan. Jordan, great race.
Cheers, thank you.
Talk us through. First of all, I believe you're known as Bear, but a new nickname has emerged of the Juggernaut as well. So not quite sure how you feel about that, but I'm sure you're happy about your podium.
Yeah. After that qualifying, it wasn't the best. I wasn't really expecting too much from this race. I was just trying to stay consistent. And to come out with a third, that's mega.
There was some very close racing out there. Oulton Park's not necessarily the easiest track to effect a pass on, either in the real world or the virtual world. But you did a neat pass to get up into third place. And once that was done, seemed to be pretty much on your own.
I think it was that pass on Rob was he let me through there, but after that I just kept the gap behind. But the two at the front were just on mega pace. Couldn't keep up with them.
And you just think championship-wise, obviously for the Sim Championship, the man you're chasing is Matt Richards. He was 4 or 5 places behind you. So a little bit of catch-up made by you in the points there on him in the championship. I think he got a penalty from Donington, so he's dropped behind me now. So Jack's my next person to chase. He finished 1 place behind me, so gained a little bit on Jack. Nice one. We look forward to seeing you on race 2. Well done on a good drive. Thanks for entertaining us. Jordan Brennan finishes in third place. Thank you, mate. Second position, second chat of the day. Pole position man, Mike Epps. Mike, what a drive. And, Dave Marshall, and you gave us some cat and mouse for a good few laps, and then he managed to sneak the move.
Yeah, it was a similar story to Brand's, that wasn't it? Only with less mistakes from me. So, it was a bit of a lucky move for Dave, really. I saw him behind into the hairpin, all sort of sideways. So I reckon he'd left reared on the grass on the left. So I knew he was probably going to come in a little hotter than ordinary. So I left a car width or two just in case, and sure enough, we're alongside on the exit. So it's sort of one of those. Obviously, he's got some points to gain in the Sim Championship. So I thought, okay, I'll let it breathe and see if I can attack him later. But his late on race pace is really good. So I think, between us, we're quite measured. We're not really in a crazy position to battle each other yet. So we're just going to keep scoring points together. Work together in this next race and see how we do.
And you've been really good coming through the traffic in the first 2 rounds we've seen this year. So I normally ask Dave Marshall for a prediction, but Mike, what's your prediction or hopes for your reverse grid race from T11?
I think it all depends on the dreaded island hairpin, because it's all very well in real life. You have front bumpers and rear bumpers can come off, but when you make contact on this, it's like a solid brick hitting a solid brick. So it can cause a lot of rebounding and bouncing and all sorts of unexpected physics happening. So it's just about everyone taking a slightly more measured approach. And hopefully we don't have any cars flipping or flying through the air on the first lap.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Good analysis, Mike. Thanks very much for that. Good luck.
You're welcome anytime, mate.
So Mike Epps running in P2. Our podium is completed by our third-time winner for our new season of official eSeries Mini Challenge Racing. Congratulations, Dave the Machine Marshall.
Cheers, Richard. Yeah, that was, it was a bit of a sketchy race, dare I say. Wasn't particularly happy with quali, but to be fair, it was a solid pole position by Mike, and I was happy just to sit behind him. And then, as he said, quite rightly, it was a complete fluke of a move. Brake on my usual spot going into the hairpin, and just dipped the wheel on the left-hand side, which got the back end a little bit sideways, and put me for the perfect lunge, essentially. So yeah, we came out side by side out the hairpin, and it was going to be tight going into the next set of chicanes. So fair play to me, backed out, we tucked in, and we were away. So yeah, it's good for the championship, and what a solid drive for the team.
Yeah, really good stuff to watch as well. One thing that I pick up from watching you in competition, and not just competition in the practice this morning. When I came in, you were fastest when I was watching. About 3/4 of an hour before the official qualifying started. You were fastest in practice, and then we saw Max Edmondson banging the time. And I don't know if it's the case. And I'm asking now, did you then respond to that to get faster than Max again? Because that's what we seem to see in the competition for real when we get into the races. You'll always bang in a quick time if you can, but you'll try and get back all the time.
Oh yeah, you always try to be the fastest, don't you? So we're going to get ready for race anyway. But
yeah, get ready for that. Have a good luck for race 2, Dave. Thanks for talking to us. Well, we could make these podium interviews last all day, going on a little bit, but it does take us right up, ready for our second race of the day. And as you can see, Josh Martin on pole position here, with Rob Butler lining up alongside row 2, Damien Hall and Max Edmondson. Away we go, and without further ado, it's going to be a great start from Josh Martin coming down into Old Hall. Third position is our Bajan cop, the cop for Piston himself in third position. This is the worrying moment, as we say, although, as you heard from Mike Epps, it might be worrying when they get down into the hairpin for the first time, side by side for the lead. Butler having a very good look at it. There is Max Edmondson running in P3 now. So Edmondson from 4th on the grid makes it up into 3rd place. This is the part of the track that Mike Epps was talking about. Oh, and off goes Butler. Is he going to slide in front of the cars? He does, as they go through. Lovely bit of direction there going on to our overhead camera. It's Max Edmondson who comes through in the lead. Matt Richards P2. Dan Seelos is 3rd. Seelos up into 3rd. Damien Hall 4th. Then Jack McIntyre. Jordan Brennan 6th from Josh Martin recovering for 7th. Max Coates in 8th. And it did all go pear-shaped, didn't it? Safety car unsurprisingly coming out. And that is exactly what Mike Epps was talking about.
Yeah, that was a nasty one, wasn't it? And yeah, I imagine some of the drivers involved in that were had a little bit of a worrying moment as they saw a car spearing across the grass towards them, the hairpin there.
Yeah, it was Rob Butler, I think, was the first one. I thought we were going to get a good long look at Rob Butler up at the sharp end of things, but I'm not quite sure whether he had any contact or not. But it's Max Edmondson that leads from Matt Richards here at Oulton for our second race of the day. Dan Seelos next up from Damien Hall. So Seelos made some good progress. Actually, I shouldn't be surprised. He was back on row 3, wasn't he, Dan Seelos, with Max Coates. So those two, Coates down in 8th place. Seelos managed to thread his way through. And again, looking for a first podium. Rob Butler's car has even got the reality, and we said this in Series 1, has got the the tyre marks and scuffs on the side of the car. It's amazing how the software manages to replicate that.
Yeah, it's certainly pretty cool.
So Max Edmondson, lead driver, not unfamiliar territory for him, led the reverse grid race at Brands Hatch and led for a long time, and of course he will build on that confidence that he had from there. He knows he's quick round here because he had the fastest time in practice for a little while this morning and was quick at Donington Park, but I guess you're going to say it's all about what's happening this weekend, and he's looking pretty sharp. Matt Richards right behind him as well. Dan Seelos in P3 will be looking to come through in the Devante Tyres car. Damien Hall in 4th, hoping to stay in the top 10, add to the points that he scored in race number 1.
It's a good drive from Damien, definitely.
It was very, very good drive indeed. So safety car will be getting ready to come back in.
Just looking at our social media comments again, I think we've got someone watching perhaps in Sri Lanka. They've mentioned the time, that was a little bit earlier on in the comments, but also this is an interesting fact for you. So how do you think the nickname the Bear or Bear started for Jordan Brennan?
I don't know.
Well, so this is an interesting one. He won the Teddy Bears picnic at school, according to our social media followers.
Yes, he's going to thank me for that when he gets on ITV.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Okay, so we're hearing that Andy Dorman had a little bit of gave a little bit of contact out, I think accidentally, while the safety car was on. So Andy down in 21st position. It's Max Edmondson that leads them away from Matt Richards. So it is a race very much on for the lead of this one as they go through Lakeside once again. And Richards putting the pressure on. Looks on the outside line. You really want to be teeing up the inside line, which is what Max Edmondson's got at the moment defensively. And you can see why the 44 car's struggling, but might get the cutback and a run here if he can just power his way up over Hilltop. He's got Dan Zelos in his virtual mirrors as well in third place. The red, black and white Devante car. Damien Hall still in fourth position. Jack Mack, the silent assassin, is in fifth place. We had a quick look there at Ethan Hamilton in the 32 car, High Road Motorsport Ensign Machine, 29th championship, running through. But always loved the reverse grid racing, always good to see, and it just gives us a chance to focus on different drivers up at the front end.
No, absolutely. That's the great thing about the reverse grids. It just mixes things up and allows some other people to shine. But, you know, perhaps they haven't got the outright pace, but they're great racers, and it gives them a chance to perhaps develop that the experience of running at the front.
It is very much all about that, isn't it? We're riding with Matt Richards, so watching the second place driver, watching what he's doing on his. Interesting that, unlike some of the drivers not using gloves, goes to the outside line here. He's going to try and go for the run into Old Hall. He's going to be brave to do it on the outside, so he might look at a cutback on the inside. Running a little bit tight there was Max Edmondson, and as a result, I think that we've got Richards challenging for it. Now Edmondson's still there, side by side as they come down through Old Hall and into Cascade, still side by side. The blue car of Matt Richards trying to tee up that inside run, but Max Edmondson holding on well. This is bringing Dan Zelos into the mix as well. Zelos is red and back round the outside.
Yeah, Dan's having a good race here. I think he's got an opportunity perhaps to pick up a place. It looks like he's managed it. Yep.
He has, yeah.
Nips into second.
Very well read there by Dan Zelos. He's going to have a look now for the lead. So it's Edmondson the leader, as he was at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit for our first event in the reverse grid race. But watch the likes of Jack McIntyre back in fourth, the blue and white car of McIntyre, Jordan Brennan having a teddy bear's picnic and coming through from a podium position. Remember, was at the back of the reverse 12, is up into fifth place. Damien Hall 6th, Max Coates 7th, then Ryan Elliott, Dave Marshall 9th, Marshall 2 places, Kieran Mike Epps. And making great progress here is Robert Stapleford up into the top 10. Wasn't in the Robbie Stapleford wasn't in the reverse part of the grid, but has got himself into top 10 here. So Robbie Stapleford, whether he's had some connection issues or whatever, getting sorted out as we watch Dan Zelos having a little bit of a Mr. Whippy moment there, and that drops him down to third again behind Matt Richards. Across the line they go again. So Max Edmondson will be probably grateful for the squabbling that's going on. McIntyre goes up into third, Zelos down to fourth, and Jordan Brennan looking to try and make up a position as well. Little inset shot there of Jack McIntyre. We've got a pass going on. Robbie Stapleford down the inside line there of Ryan Elliott. Very neatly done move by the 24 car, the Profile Racing Ensign Machine. Third in the championship, Robbie Stapleford. And keen to make up some points as Jordan Brennan now starts to challenge Dan Zelos for fourth place. Again, difficult to know exactly where to look. But it's Max Edmondson out front of the second lead over Matt Richards in P2. Jack McIntyre is third. Brennan now up into fourth place. Dan Zelos down to fifth. Work to do for Dan. Still on his overall results, getting stronger and stronger meeting by meeting. But you know, when you're running in podium pace, that's where you want to stay. You want to get that first podium under your belt and then challenge for the outright wins. But Zelos improving meeting by meeting, which is the key thing. He's ahead of Coates. There is Brennan, fourth place. So we're going to see two podiums for Jordan Brennan. This is strong work again from my driver of the day at Donington Park. Brennan chasing after Jack Mack now.
Yeah, there's definitely some action going on here, isn't there, in this sort of front six or so. Very much Dan Zelos absolutely in the mix there.
Yeah, Mike Epps coming through.
Mike
Dave Marshall.
Absolutely noticed that. And Dave Marshall dropping down the field a little.
Yeah, Mike takes no prisoners coming through the field, goes through now into 7th place. And Marshall, I think, ran wide down to 13th place. So this is going to put Epps potentially back into the championship lead. But we've got plenty of time, still got half the race for Dave Marshall to get back into the mix. Edmondson still leading. Matt Richards P2, Jack McIntyre is third from Jordan Brennan. Then it's Dan Zelos, Mike Epps ahead of Robbie Stapleford. Now Stapleford, from much further down the grid, will be able to I think, learn from and certainly follow Mike Epps here. He's got the pace Robbie Stapleford to do it. So remember, Epps second in the championship, Stapleford I think might have dropped to 4th position in the championship after race 1. As you'll appreciate, as we go straight from race to podium interviews and then into race 2, we don't have a chance to do any mathematics for you particularly quickly, but we'll give you our best guess in terms of those. Dan Zelos still 5th from Coates, and Brennan trying to close in as well on Max Coates as we watch Mike Epps in the number 12 car, 7th place. Going to have a race on his hands here with Robbie Stapleford right behind him. There is Max Coates in the 71 car. Dan Zelos now down behind him. These two replicating virtually what they did on track for real last year, both real world mini drivers. Dan, I think, hoping to make an announcement in the next few weeks about what he's going to be up to this year. Of course, we'd love to see him move up the ladder, but equally, it'd be good to see him stay as part of the mini family. Similar story really with Max Coates as well. I think unfinished business for Max in the mini championship and for Dan Zelos as well. I don't want to go to it. I don't want to commentate on them this year. Change, I think, there going on as Jack McIntyre now goes into T2, the silent assassin, living up to his nickname.
Indeed, that was always a part of the first season, really. That just quietly moving his way up the field. So no, definitely nice to see that again. Got another nickname on social media, Tugger. Now I don't know whether that's actually something to do with the Juggernaut and still basically another Jordan Brennan nickname, which it's the Bear, the Juggernaut, Juggy Bear, and maybe Tugger as well. But perhaps somebody on social media can confirm that, whether that's somebody else.
Yeah, he's getting plenty of coverage, isn't he, in terms of nicknames. What we might have to do is put all the nicknames in a hat and pull one out to use race thing to do. But either way, he's having a super meeting again, and in 4th place, chasing down Matt Richards. Max Edmondson, though, super drive from him out front. Jack McIntyre 2nd, Matt Richards 3rd, Jordan Brennan is 4th, and Edmondson here doing what he did at Brands Hatch. He looks a little bit more confident though, Anthony, because he's actually got that little bit of a lead at the moment as we're just into the second half of the race.
Yeah, really strong results, or strong position at the moment for him, with a good nearly 2-second gap, which is actually extending by the looks of it as well. So that's really strong result at the moment.
Spoke to him on the podium after Brands Hatch, and of course he's running with...
Oh,
that's a big amount of contact there, and I think that was Tom O'Farrell, who I was about to single out and say let's have a look at what Tom's doing, because he was actually notching up towards point scoring position, but finds himself down the order now in 22nd behind Ethan Hamilton, so it's not going to be any points to the man from Isla in this one, which is a big pity because he was having a strong race up to that point. There is the Holiday Homes Isla car getting stuck in. A little bit of contact on the back end of Ethan Hamilton. Been watching Jason Plato and Matt Neal. I think probably more Matt Neal, isn't it, that punts people off more than Jason Plato. And I can say that because they're not listening.
Don't worry, when I next speak to Matt, I'll make sure I pass on the message.
It's actually so. That was a hard one, wasn't it? There for Tom O'Farrell.
That tyre barrier looks a bit harder than it does in real life.
Yeah, concrete filled that one, I think. So Jordan Brennan's still working hard in 4th place. I was going to go on to say that Matt Neal, who's from the Oxfordshire region, different spelling to my surname, Neal, but our surname was Neal back several generations, so we need to look into see whether we're related or not. The genealogy suggests we might be, as we're from the same neck of the woods. But anyway, back to the mainstay of this race, and the inset. You can see Jack McIntyre trying to close down on the race leader Max Edmondson. He's got a little bit of a break now over Matt Richards, having done the work to get past. Jordan Brennan is the white car, running a little bit wide, trying to get back up onto another podium. So Brennan again, he's quick, but he's very consistent as well, Jordan Brennan. And trying to close in, but so too is Matt Richards in that 44 car. Hasn't given up the chance of maybe taking a P2 or trying to get on with Max Edmondson for the lead.
It's not over yet, is it?
No, it's not. So through Hislop's the chicane, then out through Knickerbrook. A little brief look there at Josh Hislop, 11th position, so in the points. Damien Hall still in the points, incidentally. And Liam Lambert, 14th, he's in the points as well, being chased by Dave Marshall. So Marshall with some damage limitation to do after his wide moment. Andy Dorman 16th behind him. But good to see Liam Lambert up in the points, so he's going to be in that Lux Motorsport car looking to try and bang in a first point. He's been close to the points before. 17th Brands Hatch Race 1, 18th Donington Park Race 2, so he's been strong on both of the circuits we've raced on so far, and running well as Josh Hislop chases down Josh Martin. Rob Butler clawing his way back up the order as well. Rob just outside the points at the moment. The next driver he will try and get past is Dave Marshall. Jordan Brennan has a wide moment. Let's see whether Max Coates can make the most of this. The white car of Jordan Brennan going off, and Max Coates goes around the outside line, made the most of that, had more momentum. Coatesy up into 4th position. He hasn't turned the lights up, has he?
No, if we could see him, we actually be able to see the concentration, but we can't see him.
And now Dan Zelos in the mix as well, trying to come through and pass Jordan Brennan. So that was very definitely, and Jordan, I apologise, curse of the commentator, me saying how fast and consistent he was. Has a little off, runs wide, Coatesy through into 4th place. It's a bit of a train for 4th at the moment. Now, given that McIntyre and Richards are dicing hard, in theory, if they work together, they should be able to close in. Mike Epps in 7th hasn't made as much progress as we've seen the front runners do through the field in other races so far this year. But a good point score, 7th position for him. Dave Marshall still 15th, Liam Lambert in 14th. Max Coates leading this quartet. Jordan Brennan will be dead keen to get that car back in front of the Yorkshireman Max Coates. Mike Epps catching up as well. You can see the...
Yeah, he's on the back of that train. He could quite easily catch get a few more points, couldn't he, if he just picks up those places?
He could indeed. That livery, incidentally, of Mike Epps car, actually reminiscent of those of you who might have watched some of the pub racing that I've commentated on, actually reminds me a little bit of Rob Burley's Escort WRC livery that he had. It'd be great to see Rob Burley do a little bit of racing, e-racing, and we'll have to see whether we can sort that out. Rod, who's like a current day Jerry Marshall in terms of the number of wins that he's taken in club racing and all forms of motorsport over the years. So it does remind me of his livery, Rob Burley. But here we go. This is the battle for 4th place. Max Coates leading them at the moment. Jordan Brennan still trying to get back on, and Mike Epps here will sense that he has got the opportunity to pick off some more points here amongst his real world drivers. It's the Devante eSports car that is the immediate target. Still that great battle on for 2nd, and a great drive out front from Max Edmondson with 3 minutes 25 on the clock. I better start looking at the clock just to see how long we have got to go on this one. It's all good close stuff at the minute, and Edmondson is going to deserve this race, Anthony, if he can hold on, I think.
Oh, for sure. He's ultimately just consistently banging in the laps and managed to manage the gap back to 2nd place. Obviously a few people have been in that position trying to close that gap but not been able to do so. So no, a great drive from him.
Jack McIntyre at the moment, Dave Marshall down in 13th place, which is 3 points, and McIntyre P2 will get 17, and that's a big chunk of points out of Dave Marshall's championship lead for the sim class. So this is going to put McIntyre very much, you'd be thinking that he can score the points and potentially take the battle right the way to the end of the year, and maybe get that drive in the Cooper Championship as we ride on board with Jordan Brennan again chasing Max Coates. Nice to see the blue skies here, isn't it, at Oulton Park? We usually have some good sunny days. Had some nasty, horrible wet days at Oulton as well, the track that we normally don't start racing at on a Sunday until late on. It tends to be midday, and it's one of the tracks where in the Toker paddock you just get the chance on the Sunday morning to do something you can't do at other tracks because of the noise limitations. Because it starts late, you actually get the chance to go around the paddock and talk to some of the drivers. Couldn't do that last year, of course, because we were all in our respective bubbles, but when we get back to normality, it's one of the pleasures of going to Oulton Park is having a wander around and chatting to everybody.
And it is just such a beautiful place.
It is, yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful circuit, and great locals as well. It's a massively supported event as well. One of those old-fashioned tracks where you can sort of spend the race day walking around the track and watching from different vantage points. 1:34 on the clock. This is the battle for 4th place. 1, 2, 3, Max Edmondson, Jack McIntyre and Matt Richards. Max Coates is 4th. I don't think Max is going to be able to bag a podium here, but he is ahead of Jordan Brennan, who was heading up towards the podium in a strong 4th position before that moment. Dan Zelos still in 6th place. Mike Epps is 7th. Then the gap back, he's lost Robbie Stapleford. Robbie's still there though in 8th place. Then Ryan Elliott 9th. Josh Hislop 10th from Isaac Smith. Dave Marshall is in 12th place now, ahead of Damien Hall. Liam Lambert still in the points, I'm pleased to say, 14th, ahead of Josh Martin. Rob Butler trying to get in the points as well. He's 16th from Andy Dorman. Luke Kinsley, Jack Noller 19th. Ethan Hamilton rounding out the top 20 at the moment as we watch the concentration on Max Coates' face. Again, looking pretty relaxed, isn't he, Max? Despite the fact he's under pressure, as you can see. Main shot from Jordan Brennan, who looks around the outside.
No, he certainly does. As much as we can see him with the lighting levels, he's certainly looking pretty relaxed there, definitely. It'll be interesting to see whether he can keep that position. Certainly under pressure, though.
I'll stick some candles in the post to Coates' garage at Scorton, I think. And 4 candles would be the thing to do. So there you go, you can have a prize. You can send some candles up to him if you want to, anyone's watching that. Coates' garage, Scorton, North Yorkshire. That's the address. 12 seconds on the clock to go, so once the clock runs down, it's an additional lap for Max Edmondson, who is going to, I think, grab his maiden win here. He's been on the podium already, but it's been a super drive from him out front. Fastest lap, I'm not sure. I'd have to defend that scrolling to have a look at that to see who gets the bonus point. But Epps, I think, is going to reclaim the championship lead here outright and will pull away from Robbie Stapleford, who's second in the real world standings at the moment. Robbie, remember, in 8th position in this one as they go across the line. Now, did Max Edmondson cross the line before the clock went down? He did. We are on the final lap. Thank you, Mike, for pointing that out. Here is Max Coates still gamely holding on to 4th position from Jordan Brennan. Dan Zelos in 6th. Mike Epps at the back of that quartet, running from 4th to 7th place. Edmondson still there. 1.013 seconds from Edmondson, the man who was momentarily quickest in practice at the start of the day and lapping well. Best lap 1 minute 30.4. Have a quick whiz down the times. I'll tell you what, there aren't too many drivers, I don't think, and you might even have the fastest lap as well, Max Edmondson. That to be officially confirmed as we watch Mike Epps, who should go away with the championship lead by my maths, still there. But the inset shows Edmondson coming through the chicane for the last time here at Oulton Park, still clear. Jack McIntyre has driven a solid race to come through, has built a little bit of a lead over Max Richards in 3rd. But 2 entertaining races, Anthony.
Oh, very much so. It's action all the way through, really. So no, it's really good to see. Edmondson, yeah, solid result as far as I'm concerned. I'm pretty sure he's got the fastest lap too, as you say. But obviously, official confirmation to follow. But no, really good drive from him. Really good drive.
Don't forget to let us know who you think is your driver of race 2 and indeed driver of the day here. Max Edmondson, for me, it's sometimes easy to pick the winner of the race as the driver of the race, but he's done a super job out front. And Edmondson is going to take his first win in the official UK Mini Challenge eSeries, grabs the win. Jack McIntyre in 2nd place. Matt Richards takes 3rd. So we've got 3 different drivers on the podium, which is exactly what we wanted to see. Super stuff. Max Coates in 4th place from Jordan Brennan. Dan Zelos 6th. Mike Epps, championship leader 7th. Robin Stapleford. Ryan Elliott 9th. And then Isaac Smith in 10th. We'll have a look through those a little bit later on once things have calmed down and we've got everybody across the line as I jot down our podium finishers from our 2nd race of the day here at Oulton Park. So our winner was Max Edmondson, and just have a quick look at the best lap there, 1 minute 30.4, and just scrolling down quickly, I think he probably held on to fastest lap. It looks like he did.
Yeah, I think by a sort of 10th or 2, actually. Yeah, just about a 10th, I think, probably from Jack McIntyre, actually. So yeah, it's a great result for him.
Superb race,
More
superb
points.
performance. Yeah, well done, Max. So Jack McIntyre 2nd, Matt Richards in 3rd from Max Coates, Jordan Brennan 5th, Dan Zelos 6th place from Mike Epps, Robbie Stapleford 8th from Ryan Elliott, Isaac Smith completing the top 10. Then it was Josh Hislop and Dave Marshall. Damien Hall in the points again, 13th place for him. Rob Butler worked his way back to get into the points 14th, and the last point going to Josh Martin. Andy Dorman just outside those points from Luke Kinsley and Jack Noller. Ethan Hamilton 19th from Liam Lambert, who sadly dropped away outside the points in the latter stages. Jack Davidson next up from Kenny Press and Simon Reed. Tom O'Farrell had a little bit of a hit, didn't he, mid-race? He was 24th from Alfie Clenny. And Craig Timmins seemingly out of luck and just completed a couple of laps in that race. We have the drivers in Parc Fermé, and we'll start off with the man who finished in third place. Started on row 4 on that race, so good progress made by Matt Richards in the Zancho Simsport car. Well done, Matt. Good to have you on the podium. Tell us a little bit about your race, if you would.
Thank you very much. Yeah, both races just trying to play it safe, to be honest. I was aiming for a good start position for race 2. And just trying to keep the car safe, no contact, and get to the end and just play the team game.
You're in the top half of the field for the sim racer competition, so it's important for you to maintain those points, isn't it, and grab a prize to get along, either to test a car or join us at one of the events later on in the season for real.
Yeah, definitely. Just pushing hard to see if we can get the results that get us there.
Is real world driving something that you're aspiring to? Are you sort of making noises or approaching people about getting a real world drive, or are you just happy at the moment with sim racing?
Oh, definitely. There's always stuff going on in the background, and the connections that I've built up over the years, as well as the connections I've been able to get with Zancho. So the incredible opportunities that they've given me are just insane. So yeah, just pushing along with that and see if anything comes through the pipeline.
What's your preparation like for the coming week for our next round?
Pretty tough. Quite a lot of preparation. Pretty much every day sticking laps in and just working hard. There's still something in the setup that we need to find. There's something that we're missing a little bit, but we'll get there.
That sounds just like a real world driver, Matt. Superb.
Cheers.
Congratulations. Great to see you on the podium again. Matt Richards in third place. And we go to the Silent Assassin, nicked into second place just before the halfway point of the race. Welcome back to the podium. Second position, Jack McIntyre. How was your race, Jack?
Thanks. Yeah, it was good. I think we got a bit of good fortune there for a change. There was a big accident through the hairpin, and I was just lucky enough to be on the right side of the road when it happened. So got through, I think, into 5th or 6th after that on the first lap, and then I was really pushing to try and catch Max at the end, but he was just a little bit too quick. I think if I had another 10 or 15 minutes, I might have just about been able to get there. But no, great race, great 2 results. So really happy with that.
I think maybe following race 1, you've clawed a little bit back. Dave Marshall was unlucky in that one and dropped away a little bit points-wise. So that keeps things keen, doesn't it, in the sim racers category? Yeah,
definitely. Dave he's extended his lead last week at Donington, so it was good to be able to claw a little bit back. I don't know how much I've got back now, but yeah, still need to keep working hard, getting faster, and hopefully we'll get there in terms of setup and pace to be right there in quali in race 1 as well.
Are you in the Touring Car Championship later today?
I'm not, no. So just concentrating on the minis for me, which is, it might work a little bit in my benefit as the practice ramps up for everyone else doing 2 series and the fatigue and everything. So no, we'll see.
That's good to hear. Glad your focus is with us, and we look forward to catching up with you again next week. Well done on P2 in that race. Good to see you back on the podium, Jack McIntyre in P2.
Cheers, Richard.
And our winner, a great pleasure always to have a first-time winner. We thought he was going to do it at Brands Hatch, but he's done it today here at Oulton Park. A great circuit to do that. Many congratulations, Max Edmondson, winner in the official eSeries. How does that feel?
Good, to be fair. I didn't really have the best of race 1s. I got quite a big collision in turn 3, but I think I was down in like P20 or something. Then came back, obviously, but obviously that helped me get a good start for race 2. And then obviously I got a gap and just kept it from there.
I think fastest lap for you in that one too, so you must be happy with that. You were fast in practice at the start, and qualifying was P4, so you've clearly got the pace, and you switched that on and made the most of that opportunity. Did you feel any pressure in that race?
Towards the end, when my tyres started going off, because I think I overfueled a bit too much, but apart from that, not really, no.
That's really good to hear. And again, I've asked the question of the other drivers, but busy week preparing for next week's round as you perhaps learn a new track?
Yeah, because obviously I've got this, minis, I've got DDMs, and I've got touring cars, so it's a busy week.
Wow. How do you have time to fit it all in?
No clue.
Well, Max, congratulations. Really good to have you as a race winner in the official eSeries for Mini Challenge. Well done on that win. I'm sure it's going to be the first of many. Good luck with your other endeavours through the week, and we look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Yes, thank you.
So there's our top 3. Matt Richards taking third place, Jack McIntyre in P2, Max Edmondson takes the win. And joining Anthony and myself is Rich Hayden, race director. Another good pair of races this weekend, Rich.
Really enjoyed that. Yeah, it's first time, as you said earlier on, it's first time we've done Oulton in anger. So yeah, it was exciting. I do have a feeling that myself and Andy are going to be very busy in the week.
Anthony was saying there was a little bit of contact in qualifying as well, so I think Andy might have to be looking at qualifying footage as well.
You know what? It's around about an hour per driver protest, so as you can appreciate,
Wow.
It does take us quite a lot of time. We do a lot of reviewing of the lap before, the lap after, and then if need be, we'll watch a whole race back for a particular driver to see if there's any other things we need to take into account. So yeah, I think we're gonna be busy this coming week, but really pleased with how it's gone today. Good to get some different winners in race 2. Really chuffed for that.
Yeah, really good to see, and great racing as you mentioned. And going back to that point about officiating, driving stands, and everything else, it's a mark that the effort that you and Andy and the whole team, Mike and the team, put in is really indicative of how professional this particular competition is. I mean, it really is run as close to real life as possible. And that's only going to happen if you put the hours in, which you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a love-hate relationship. We love doing it, but obviously we hate sometimes the fact that we're working till the early hours of the morning, sometimes reviewing some things and checking servers and getting drivers set up correctly. But, it's for the love of the sport in general, whether it be real life or whether it be on e-racing. So, yeah, we love it.
I know Michael want me to do a wrap-up, so I'm just going to do a quick round robin, starting with you, Rich, as race director. Who was your driver of the day?
Max Edmondson for me, young lad coming storming through. Love it. Really good driver. Really like Max. Really pleased he's got a win.
I'm going to echo that. I'm going to go to Anthony. Who's your driver of the day?
I think we've lost him.
Yep.
Oh, are you? Can you hear me?
Oh, we probably need you to switch your mic on. In the
Discord.
In Discord. I can hear you.
Hello, chaps. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
Glitch, lack of experience on my part in terms of turning which microphone on. But no, I think Max Emerson clearly did a great job. But I'd like to pick out Damien as well. Damien Hall, obviously a little bit of a soft spot for him from season 1, really, making his way all the way over the Atlantic to us here in the UK from Barbados. So I think pick him out. But perhaps ultimately Max, because of his outright result, probably takes it as well.
Did I hear Mike echoing that as well earlier on? Mike does, yeah. Okay, so it looks like Max is our driver of the day. And Damien Hall, definitely mentioned in dispatches and, a worthy mention there. So anyway, Rich, great to see you. Thanks for popping up and having a chat with us there. Again,
thanks very much.
Big thank you to Antony Williams for joining us again. Absolute pleasure, Anthony, and looking forward to seeing you in the real world as well. I think we'll see you later on in the series as well.
That's the plan. I think is it the last round, or certainly later on in the year anyway. And always, happy to join you when the opportunity arises.
Again, so hopefully Brands Hatch GP 6th of March, which is our final round. A big thank you to Rich Hayden, as we said, Antony Williams, Mike Yao, our producer and director, who's done a super job once again on getting you all the shots and cutting away to people. You guys out there probably don't realise how much work he does, but superb job of getting to show you what's going on track and keeping me and Anthony up to date as well throughout things. So from me and the whole team, it's been a super week. I think we've got James Gornall joining us on co-commentary next week. That's the plan, I think, at the moment, which is something to look forward to. So from all of us here on the official eSeries Mini Challenge UK from Virtual Reality Racing Car, Richard John Neal saying thanks for joining us today. Have a great week. Stay healthy. Stay apart from each other as far as you can. We'll beat the virus. Enjoy the touring car racing this afternoon. My great friend and colleague David Anderson will be lead comms for that. So if you're at loose end, watch that. But in the meantime, enough from me. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
got something that I want to. Talking about me, rocking on beat. Talking about walking on my own 2 feet. Oh, you got something that I want.